Hey guys, Nick here. I'm going to go ahead and just state the obvious. This is a marketing tool for my real estate business. I've been a realtor for 20 years right here in Nashville, but who wants to listen to a boring podcast about real estate? Good news, it's not. This is a podcast about people that I've built relationships with since I moved here in 1988. If what I stand for resonates with you and you're looking to buy or sell a home in this area, let's talk. No pressure, just a conversation, kind of like this podcast.
This is the 615 Podcast with your host, veteran realtor and entrepreneur, Nick Woodard.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the 615 Podcast. Today, I'm excited to talk to someone that makes my life a hell of a lot easier. She and her trusted team are the ones I trust to refer my clients to when they need great recommendation for someone to help them acquire a home loan. In her hands, I know my clients are being taken care of the same way I take care of them. She's considered one of the top mortgage brokers in Tennessee and has been my preferred broker for about 10, 12 years now.
I know, can't believe it. Time is flying.
Welcome, Miss CareyAnn Cyr.
Yes, thank you so much.
What's up, friend?
So good to see you. I feel like we talk on the phone and do the emails and texts, so it's always great to finally get to see you and see you in action. This podcast. I love the 615 branding. You know that my daughter and I went over at Christmas time and saw a movie, and we were there, and I was like, is that who I think it is on screen? And it is. The 615 definitely was the perfect branding for you. So.
Yeah, so a funny story is friends of mine, Jana Kramer was in that movie, and they needed some extras. I was like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So I show up, and the director was like, hey, you need to turn your hat backwards because this is supposed to be filmed out of Georgia. I was like, all right. So in the scene, I got my hat backwards, and then I turn around and walk away.
Right.
And you can see
I pick it up. I'm the first to pick it up. It's like, because it's crazy to think like the 615 hat everybody wears.
You would think everybody had
yeah,
one.
But when I see the 615 hat, I think of you.
It's crazy. So. I have people that come up to me, once every couple months, and they're like, hey, Nick. I'm like, do I know you? They're like, your hat. I was like, wow, it actually works.
There you go. Or I get people come up to me and just say, so good. That's all I get. So depending on what your branding is, it works for sure. I love that.
Well, first things first, pull out your crystal ball and tell us what the real estate market holds in the near future.
I love that. Well, I am always a positive gal who says no matter what market, it's going to be a great market. I think we're really blessed to be in Middle Tennessee. Yeah. Being a lender, part of an organization that's national, I see that we're always leading with applications and home sales, et cetera, within our market. So even with the downturn, I definitely believe that Middle Tennessee, still shines, very bright. And we're blessed to have so many people moving here, right? I mean, that's always going to keep us very busy. So,
well, like all seriousness, Sean Hewitt, who is your guy, has kind of been my guy for years now.
Yeah, Sean and I have been partners now since, I think, 2010. So it's been a long time. And it was funny. He and I came together. He was the late bird and I was the early bird. So I would take the early shift and he would, take the late shift, and we came together, knowing and having the same passion, heart, and drive, for so many. So yeah, we've been able to make a lot of miracles happen and create some great business over the last so many years. So
it's like, in all seriousness, I call Sean probably once a month and ask him what a loan applications look like. Because that tends to be a realistic trigger that lets you know kind of what the near future is going to happen. Are they up? Are they down?
Right.
What's it looking like? And I guess that's one of very few things that you can actually see and go, okay, that potentially is an indicator.
If we were comparing last year to this January, right, I would say, wow, applications are way up, so we're projecting it to be a really strong year across the board. We're also projecting, with all the economists that are out there, one, projected the rates to be on a 30-year fix between 5.5 and 5.875. That was one. Another gentleman who I heard last week is saying 6%, right? So no matter what, I think we're still in that stable position. I think there was a lot of excitement when everybody heard 5.99 over a couple of weeks ago, right? Now, since then, the rates have kind of ticked up a little bit with the hopes that what he shared in that information that caused all the excitement actually does happen. And we can see, the interest rates, make a move. Again, when the bond market is shining the brightest, interest rates come down, and that's going to make a huge difference, and again, continue to create comfort and affordability. I think that's really what we've been looking for, or what the consumer's been looking for so much.
Well, before we get into business, let's talk about you.
All right. Me.
So, hey, where are you from? And what brought you to Nashville?
Yeah.
Let me guess, music.
Yeah, too funny. Yes, music brought me here, actually. I grew up in a small town in Dover, New Hampshire. I was a military baby, so we ended up at Pease Air Force Base there back in 85. I think we moved up there. And then my dad was a singer. Out of 4 kids, everybody kind of had their thing. So music was mine. And so he had me singing in bands and dive bars and opening up for any artist that came to New England, which was kind of funny because country music wasn't as big of a thing back in the day. I won't tell you how old I am or how long I've been here, but back in the day. And so, you win one competition and 2 competitions and your parents think you're, going to be the next whatever. And so they got us all in the Astro van and drove me down here and dropped me off. And so I've been here 20 something years. And I always say I'm really blessed. Music brought me here. And then at the time while I was in music, I was serving at a great restaurant called Cosymel's. It's no longer here. It was on Moore's Lane in Brentwood. In Brentwood, yeah.
Of course.
And it was all of us artists just, doing our thing there. And I think one afternoon or one evening, I had a long night and I was like, I'm wondering, we're all kind of aging here. Is this music thing going to work? I don't think I gave it enough of a chance. And the gentleman, my manager at the time, said, "Hey, my wife is teaching classes on a Saturday about the mortgage business. Would you be interested in learning a few things?" And I said, "Sure." And so that's how I got into the mortgage business. And I was blessed. She gave me an opportunity. I was a gopher. I was the gal who took the trash and got the coffees and all the things. And then I moved into being an assistant and a processor and an underwriter. And then I eventually said, I was kind of a lead singer, in a band. I think I should probably come from behind the computer, maybe to the front of the computer. And so that pushed me in the direction of sales. And so not knowing anybody, I just had an opportunity. Actually, I think Spring Hill, where we are today, I think it was one opportunity that opened up a huge door for me and it gave me a kickstart. And so I'm really grateful for that. And that led to me fast forward to now 13 years ago. I can't believe my daughter turned 13 today, but 3 weeks after I gave birth to my daughter, I sadly lost my job. Being that New Englander, if you know us New Englanders, sometimes we get a little passionate at times. Yeah.
No.
The Yankee comes out at times. And so I had a baby, got postpartum, and I was a little passionate. And so that mixture didn't work so well. And so I was asked to leave the firm I was with. And so I went from something to nothing overnight, and I had to make some hard decisions and kind of rebuild. And at the time, I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this in a big, big way. And I remember back so many years ago, talking to some other top producers, they said, to make it big, you got to think big, act big, do big things, and you've got to run a business like a business. And so at that time, I created CareyAnn My Mortgage Team. I didn't have the team per se. I just had, this name and a big dream. And so, Sean and I were working together, but we didn't have structure around, the concept or whatever. And so I was able to be blessed with a job opportunity. And I was there for 45 days because they told me if I drank the Kool-Aid, I'd be really successful here. And I was like, oh my dear Lord, I didn't drink somebody's Kool-Aid before and I got fired. So I'm not so sure this is going to be the right fit for me. So at the time I talked to this gentleman that was so kind to offer me a job. I said, hey, let's get on a plane and fly to California and talk to this company called CMG Financial. And right when I got there, I met the owner, Chris George, and I said, hey, so I don't have any business currently, but I am a hard worker and I have this idea and strategy that I think I could take something with a great resource and an awesome back engine, and people that believe in me, an opportunity to build something really, really big in Middle Tennessee. And that was 13 years ago, come June. And we have quite a bit of market share here locally, and we're the number one originating team in the state. So, and top 5 for females in the country. I think we've done a really good job with that. So I'm really blessed to have had music bring me here and got me into an amazing career.
One thing that's different about you guys, though, like we talked about it earlier, you've always been a very positive person, at least every time I've been around you. It feels like you've found this little niche to where you really give the agents opportunities. You know, you come up with ideas. You're a thinker. You come up with all these ideas that help generate business for your agents you've created relationships with. And then, you know, they pass on the business to you. It's kind of the, you know, the rising tide rises all ships. So you've been very good about, you know, hey, Nick, I got an idea. You ought to try this. Yeah. And I think that's what's really made you stand out amongst the crowd. Well,
I'm thankful that you see that. You know, back in the day, you know, we could get a lot of training under other mortgage originators, but my training was under other business owners. So I would study grocery stores and restaurants and just different businesses that talked about how to create business. And it was always about providing more value, right? Providing, you know, ideas and ways to grow business. You know, a lot of agents sometimes, you know, come to lenders and say, will you pay for this lead or that lead? You know, and if at the time there wasn't a lot of money for me to be able to do that, right? I was like, well, how can I still do the same concept by creating creative ideas, you know, that create business together? And so that's how I started my business and still do that today, which is exciting. So it
was like y'all just randomly sent me some stuff the other day. You're like, hey, Nick, let's use your listings and here's some marketing you can use. I'm like, oh, you know how long that would have taken me to put together?
Yes. Well, I'm glad you love that. That's called our Listing Advantage program, where we really just shine bright for the listing agent. You know, in one breath, some lenders always think buyer's agent, and that's true. Yeah. But if I can help you turn ahead, you know, and create opportunity, and then you know you have a solid lender that you trust and you're more confident within, be able to be that person that's going to provide, you know, really good financing for the person that's looking at your listing. I think that's going to be an extra win for everybody.
All right. You're a pretty structured and disciplined person.
Yes.
What would you say some of your, you know, daily disciplines are that keep you on track?
Yeah, I grew up in a military background, right? So I always laugh. I laugh because my brother went to West Point, and he said it was easy because my mom was the general, right, growing up. So that's kind of funny. But, you know, some structure is key. So my structures are Monday through Friday, you know, and then I'm a full-time mom as well. So I have to, you know, add that within the mix. And remember, I started again with a newborn, right? Yeah. And so my structure really kickstarted early on the sense of if she was getting up at 6, if that was the intention, I had to start work at 4, right? If I wanted to build something. So I've always been kind of a really good time blocker on the sense of what time do I get up? What time do I get started? Some people get up and they want to get working out really fast. I've always enjoyed getting up and just working. That's always been a passion of mine. You know, lending is problem solving, right? Lending is putting a bunch of pieces of the puzzle together, right, in the best way. And so I need the clearest mind. And so some people do great at night. I do better, you know, early, first thing in the morning. And so being able to stay true to the time that I get up every morning. And then I also have to take my daughter to school, right? We shifted her school. So I went from a 3-minute round trip to a 58-minute round trip. So in one breath, that looked like a negative, and I flipped it into a positive because I used that time to listen to podcasts and listen to some things to kind of get me in the mindset. Because I will tell you, over the last even 12 months, right, this whole past year, last year, I thought we were coming out of the gate in 2025, that it was going to be a rocking year. 2025 sounds so good, you know, and then all of a sudden there was this weird, you know, feeling in the air, you know, and a heaviness, and things were not going our way on some breath, on the sense of rates weren't rating, and, you know, houses were sitting, and, you know, people were retiring. And I was like, oh my dear Lord, what is going to happen? And then I heard, oh, it's just going to be another bad year. And I was like, I don't have time for another bad year. You know, I've got to keep moving this forward. And so really focusing on keeping my mind set in check was important for me because I am the captain of the ship. So if I go down, it's truly I'm the CEO, right, of my own business. We talk about that in a lot of different podcasts. Anybody who's self-employed, that's what you are. And so you can drive it forward or you can sink it like the Titanic. These are two options, right? And I don't have any time. If I have now a 13-year-old, I still got to keep the ship moving forward. And I've got a great team, right, that rely on me to make sure that happens. And so taking the time to make sure I'm listening to the right things in the morning is key. And then I also realized that taking care of myself, the clock is ticking, and I giggle because I'll be 50 in 12 months. Right. And so it's getting to that place where I can let myself go. Right. Or I can kind of make it a priority. Right. The stronger I am physically, the stronger I'm going to be mentally, and I'm going to be able to help many more people. And so adding that into the mixture of my daily routine has been important as well. And so I do find getting up early, drinking lots of coffee, getting to work, taking her to school, going to work out, and then getting my day started with every other problem that arises with the joy of the mortgage business. Some days I think I'm a firefighter versus a lender, but I'm very grateful. A good coach, I think it was a basketball coach, once said, it's a privilege to have this much stress, right? Like you worked really hard to have this much chaos in your life. Yeah. I sit here today in front of you with glasses because I'm blind in my right eye because of this amazing industry from stress. I got shingles so many years ago. But you just keep moving. The show must go on like we were back in the day on the stage. We just keep going. So
yeah, starting your day on a routine to me is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Get up, get the kids ready for school, always do my Bible study.
Yeah.
Always try to work out, always try to create some sort of content, reach out, touch base with every client, see what they need to do. Because if I wait till in the afternoon, we've got 3 kids that play like 6 different sports.
I know, wow, yeah.
Like it's an absolute Chinese fire drill when I get home. So if I don't have those structures in place, then it becomes a total free for all.
Yeah, totally. And Aubrey's big into tennis, so driving her back and forth. And I'm blessed to have some people that help me be able to maintain, that, because it is business. The mortgage business doesn't happen during a certain time, frame. Like it happens all day. And so, things just pop up at certain times. You got to, stick the landing. So
let's make some of the boring stuff not so boring.
Okay. I love that.
I'm just going to throw a couple questions, just kind of see what you think about them.
The glass is always half full. So yeah, we can always spin it.
So right now in Tennessee, who do you feel has the advantage, buyers or sellers?
Well, it's interesting. I said last year was a buyer's market without any buyers. Yeah. I was like, hi, how's it going? And I definitely still believe that it's a buyer's market. I do think there's more buyers now within the market. I do see some houses still sitting. I do see some houses having multiple offers on them right now, right? And so
I got into a multiple offer the other day. Three different offers come in.
Yeah.
I was like, I haven't seen this in years.
Yeah. And it's exciting, to see. I do think certain price points are seeing a little more action than others. I do see that, the builders back in the day built a certain type of home, that there was many of them, right? So, when we see a townhome community, what makes your townhome shine brighter than the next townhome? And so we're seeing, some of those houses, sit. And so again, I'm trying to think creatively as a partner in crime, in the sense of how do I allow this listing to shine the brightest, if there's multiples out there. And again, I will offer it to anybody and everybody out there. But yeah, so it's just trying to, I think buyers can get a really good deal right now. I'm seeing sellers being really kind, and the negotiations are strong. And because I think they understand that, again, going back to comfort and affordability is the most important right now. And when the rates start to shift down.
That's what I was about to ask. What do you think is going to happen as soon as things start shift down?
Yeah.
Because I have my thoughts as to what exactly is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Just by kind of reading the tea leaves, but I'd love to see what you think from your side of things.
Yeah. I passed high school and college barely by a few points, but there was an economy class we took in one of the time frame I was there, and again, supply and demand, right? So, I mean, if rates are coming down, right, there's going to be more people that are excited, right, that have been waiting, that have been sitting on the fence, that literally many, and you may have these conversations with buyers, if rates only got to, I mean, we saw it after the conversation.
Everybody has that magic number in their head.
Yeah, that when President Trump made the announcement, and then all of a sudden we woke up on that Friday, which would have been great if it was a Wednesday and it was able to hold, for a couple more days. But that Friday and rates dipped, and everybody all over marketing and social media, was quoting rates under 6%, the lowest they've been in 3 years type of thing. Wow. I mean, the phones were ringing off the hook. So that right there tells you that there's going to be a demand, right, for people to get into the market. And then those people have the pool of the homes that we have available, right? And then if there's more competition like you have in your multiple offer situation, I mean, 2 + 2 is going to equal 4, the sense of the prices of houses are going to just slowly continue to go up. And that's why that goofy saying that you hear is semi-cheesy, that people were using,
was it the marry?
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah.
Marry the house, date the rate or something?
Marry the house and date the rate. But that's so true, because you could get a house today priced at blank, and yes, your interest rate's a little bit higher. But again, we're talking that people are projecting the rates to be in that 6 or a little bit lower. That's what these economists are telling us. So if that is true, then you're going to be in a position where when that does happen and demand continues to rise, there's going to be more interest, and the appreciation of homes that are just going to continue to grow. And I don't want us to get back to where we were before the 2021, situation where, your first time home buyers were just left, to the side because they didn't have the extra money. Yeah. However, I do believe in that era of time, if we think about it, we were just finishing COVID, and many of us didn't spend our money, right? So everybody had this excess resource of funds, to be able to use, for extra money to put down. And people were willing to pay, right, quite a bit of money over asking. And so that just moved the prices of houses in a forward direction. So yes, I do believe that I'm hopeful we don't see what we saw so many years ago, but common sense, I would just say it would increase everything.
I'm always very conservative with my buyers, and never buy until you're ready.
Yeah, for sure.
If it's going to take a little while for you to get to where you want to be in order to move forward on a home purchase, I am with you to be patient till you are ready. I feel that right now, people that are waiting, let's say, hey, I'm going to wait a year, or they're waiting on a magic number for the rates. There's so much pent up demand that I feel once we get to that particular rate, everybody's going to jump in. All this inventory is going to be gobbled up.
Right.
And then prices are going to go up. You're going to come back to the same problem again. So what I'm telling people is, okay, if you can get into a house right now, even if it's a little bit higher rate, get it before all hell breaks loose and the circus shows up to town.
Right.
Then refi it.
Correct.
So you can get the lower rate, a year from now, but you've bypassed everything right before it explodes.
Totally. And I think the people that are still thinking the rates will get to 3.5, right?
It's never going to happen again.
Right. So I think we need to, wake up to that from that dream a little bit and speak in realities, but you're onto something fully. I think it's important with you being such a great real estate agent, where you share the data, right? Like show the numbers, right? Like if the price of home does go up to this, okay, and you got this lower of interest rate, what would that payment look like, and where you are today? And you can kind of see the difference.
Right.
Again, the savings in your interest cost is not ever going to shine as bright as the appreciation of the home. Like that, we gain wealth through real estate, right? There's magic in that, right? Even on the down market, the appreciation of houses, when you see the chart, even if we saw an increase of 3%, right? 3% seems low, but 3% on a $400,000 deal is a decent amount of money, right? So that's important. So many years ago, the temporary buy down was a big discussion, right? And a lot of people were anti-lenders by doing that. Again, creating comfort today. What happened at that time frame, and that I think some people didn't fully communicate or complete the circle or the loop, is this is what your payment is going to be but for 2 years, you're going to be able to get this discount. Yeah. Don't assume that your payment is this, right? What we really want to do is walk you into the comfort, right? Affordability, as in shifting your cash flow monthly, right? Maybe paying off that debt, to get you in a position now you're able to make that payment. So many people over the last couple of years, we assumed the rates were going to go in our favor. I mean, I've been holding a refi card here now for a good so many months, like ready for it to be the refi boom again. Rumor has it we were going to have another one, and I was ready to pounce when that happened, but it didn't, right? And so here we are where people were thinking, oh, in 2 years I could just refinance, right? And so now that rate, let's just say, is 6.5, or maybe it's 7, depending upon what lender they worked with. And, they convinced them to take the 2 points lower, but didn't walk them through exactly what was going to happen. I do think it goes back to working with professionals, not just somebody who's a real estate agent, not just somebody who's a lender, but working with true professionals that understand this craft on the way that what goes up does come down, what goes down has to go back up, and really having you have the clarity of all of it. With the hope, I mean, I'm a good positive thinker, and I always think that there's hope in all things, but realities too, we need to make sure we're comfortable in our reality, and then continue to hope things go in our favor.
So you see kind of behind the curtains with a lot of these buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I look into their stuff. I see some stuff that gives me straight up anxiety. But you get to see all the financials, all that stuff. What can you tell us a story of what is some of the dumbest financial moves you've ever seen someone make right before buying a home? I'll start with, I had a client that literally bought a houseboat. 2 days before they were closing
pretty,
on a
though.
house.
It's so fun. It's so relaxing, Nick. Come on. We could just, veg there. Yeah. I mean, we see it all. I was at the car dealership the other day and I look around, I'm just the fly on the wall, and I just look around as these could be buyers sitting here thinking that, they're going to get this great deal because the car dealership, right, is convincing them that this payment is so low. And I was telling the gentleman that I said, in their eyes, it's low. But when it comes to qualifying for a house payment, even a car payment that's $300 or $400 can really shift someone's ability, to purchase a house. Yeah. So yes, purchasing new debt, I see co-signing for a family member. I see quitting the job because they were passionate too and forgot they were closing next week. And I've seen that happen as well. I also have seen that they've spent the money that they plan to use, so that's always interesting. They forgot how much they were to invest, the next week.
So like, what's a healthy, how much house is too much?
Well, so keep in mind, we're moving into a technology world today. And I come from the old school methods, right? I mean, when we had to race to the FedEx box to drop the underwriting loan in and make sure we got there, because if we didn't get there, it wasn't going to get to the underwriter for them to review it. I come from those days. So now all you do is click a button, right? So now you see all of this amazing marketing online where there's some lenders that pay multi-billions of dollars to get your attention. There's an easy button. You just hit the button and you're approved, right? Yeah. Poof, you're approved. Yeah. So I think we have desensitized everybody to the idea of what it takes, to get, financing in the process that it goes through. But when it comes to, doing the application, right? The application is just straightforward. What is this? What is this? What is this? And you put, well, I think it's that, and that. We back into it a little differently. We ask them about what is their comfort every month paying in a budget, because the computer system can approve you for so much more than what your comfort level is, right? And so if I was to give
my little brother, when he first got a house, he was like right out of college. Yeah. He was like, hey, I got approved for $500,000. I'm like, no, sir.
Right.
Don't think so.
Right, exactly. And then that's the other thing that's concerning, until they see the payment, and then they're backing out because it doesn't make sense. So we try to back into the numbers on what their comfort level is first, right? And then also give them the range. You are qualified up to blank, but again, that number will then move that payment, to this amount. So when I say how much is too much house for one, I do think it's important that you and I both know what we are comfortable paying every month. The computer system don't know what we like to wear, what we like to eat, what we like to send our kids to school. we don't see any bit of that lifestyle, right? We only see credit cards and anything that reports to the bureaus, right? And so we're approving you based upon the bureau and nothing else. And so we try to ask a few more questions. And I think that's what makes us a little bit different versus just, a lender that's transactional, that is just, popping things in and out. We do want to make sure that you stay in your home for a long time. We never want to see anybody call due to defaults or concerns, on monthly payments and things.
So you've been doing this a long time.
Yes.
Do you have any just wild, crazy stories of a transaction that just sticks out to you? Just think about it for a second.
Yeah.
Think about that. I have one that I'd love to share with you.
Yeah, you tell me yours.
I sold a house unknowingly to a hooker. To a hooker.
They just didn't hook things. They were truly a hooker.
So from what we could gather, and I didn't know this till after the fact.
Well, we don't judge, right? We love all people.
So evidently
all professions.
She had a rich boyfriend, client, whatever, who was going through, evidently he was a very well-to-do lawyer, and he was going through a divorce, and evidently he hired his friend to go around the country and buy properties in an LLC with both of them attached to it so he could hide money from his soon-to-be ex-wife.
Oh, yes.
So I didn't know about this till after the fact. And then I got to realize, oh my God, I went and picked her up from the airport. So I call my wife and go, hey, babe, if there's ever any pictures that come out of me picking up a hooker at the airport, this is what happened. So.
Yeah, wow. That's a good one. That's a doozy. Yeah. I always say we're only as good as the information provided, right? So lately there's one, and this is so sad, and it made me giggle, and it's so sad. The whole thing is sad, but an elderly couple reached out, and they were supposed to close last week. And there was a power of attorney involved. And so she has to be in her 80s. Again, remember, you can get a 30-year fixed if you're 99, right? So there's no concern about that at all. And so we're moving forward, and they're on Social Security and pension, and everything's fine. And so we got the documentation and proper power of attorney and letter of explanation, and all things are fine. And they get to the closing table, and the title company stopped it and said, this is not the right power of attorney. And so we said, no worries. We talked to the agent and everybody. We just go ahead and get a new power of attorney, the proper one, and we just need the gentleman's signature. And rumor has it, it finally came out 3 or 4 days later that he passed a full month ago. And the application was only taken 3 weeks ago. So this is what you and I are only as good as the information, and to a point where we can't do a loan if you're not alive. Like that part was really sad. And then also what's so hard for me is, how would I have known any different? What if that actually happened and I had this whole situation that was not true, right underneath my fingertips as well. So I just had, the death story that wasn't so it's not really as good as your hooker story, but I'm telling you that there's a first for everything. I've just never had done a loan for a dead person before, and I feel bad and saddened, for all parties, because it put everybody in a situation right now. I don't know how to fix that. In one breath, do you fix it for the person that wasn't telling the truth? And then, do you just make it right because they were just trying to get a house, for their family? That's the part where it walks that fine line of, we always want to do everything on the up and up, but I definitely, out of the thousands and thousands of applications, I know I always giggle because, you talk about hooker, but there's other versions of making money online and different things. And so we definitely don't judge. We don't ask them what they're showing to OnlyFans. Yeah, I was going to go there. And so, when underwriting has to review the types of income that we see, pushing through, it always kind of makes it a giggle. But again, if you're paying tax, do you for you? I mean, the other part of the story is, are you paying tax? That's the other part. They call me up too, and I haven't paid my taxes in 5 years, but I would like a home loan, and I've been denied 3 times. And what do you got for me? And so at the end of the day, there are options and loans out there, right, that don't require you to show tax returns, right? There's other avenues to be able to do it. And so I'd always say I don't judge That's between you and the IRS, and the pillow you sleep at night on type of thing. But, my job is to do everything on the up and up on the legal standpoint, and use that creative mind that you referenced, right? I mean, I've just always, what I wanted to be back in the day, and I still might be in my next life, is like a Dateline detective. I want to be, I want to be a Dateline detective. And I figuring out who the murder she wrote back in the day. Remember Clue? I love that game. Clue. Yeah, all the things. And so I feel like that's kind of what I do with putting loans together. You're putting it and you're figuring out the best strategy. But all in the up and up and making it right. Because I think what I love about our job is we just get to create something really special. Sometimes it comes across cheesy, like that we create and help people, have their dreams come true. But literally the biggest joy for me is helping that first time home buyer. The biggest joy for me is helping that underdog that was told no once, twice. Yeah. The biggest joy for me is serving our vets, in that community that is told that the VA denied them. I'm like, no, the VA did not deny you. The other lender denied you. And let's use all of the perks that you have because you served our country. And I want to give back to you, and let's make this no and turn it into a yes, So I'd love doing all that.
So getting into the next phase of this, you've been in the game a long time, mm-hmm. as I have, to where we've realized the people around us are the most important aspect. How much do you believe the relationship between the buyer, the lender, and the realtor actually impacts whether it's a smooth closing or not? Oh,
yes. I do believe this is a people business. This is a relationship business. I do believe this is a business full of trust and confidence. And I have to lift you as your lending partner. It's my job to lift you up as much as it is you lifting me up, right? I think it makes the experience for the buyer when the communication is strong, when they truly, you can say 100% trust CareyAnn and her team, right? To be able to get the job done. And we, every time, stick the landing on that for you. So you can confidently say that. I think that matters. I think that is important. I think that, knowing that you could make one phone call and get a response, right? Or one text message, and be able to turn something that might be going a little sideways into a positive experience for somebody. I think that's important. That gives you a lot of leverage. I think that gives you a lot of power, to be able to shine bright in what you've been doing for a really long time. And so I think it's important for lenders and real estate agents, as we get busy, we sometimes have to add people to our teams, right? And support. I see real estate agents getting TCs, et cetera, right? And so I think taking the time to hire the right people and surround yourself with just pure talent, I think, continues to go back to just rising, all ships on the sense there. I think that is really, really important. So making sure that people just don't hire someone as an assistant or just hire somebody to build a team. You hire the right people because they have to be true complements to you, and they have to have that same passion and work ethic, and ability to be able to be true to their word. I think, you working with us for so long, that Sean and I will be men and women of our word, right? We're going to tell you we're going to do something. We're going to make sure we do that.
Of course, it takes all the stress off my plate.
Yeah, totally. But you also know that if we tell a client, we're going to honor that, mm-hmm. right? And so that's an important piece as well. So I'm a big believer in the connection of strong partnerships. I've always built my business on partnerships, on the sense of, because your reputation means a lot to me. And I was brought up where I don't hurt my own, nor am I going to hurt yours. Right. And so if that's part of my business structure, I want to continue to, build onto that. So
I tell people this all the time, like agents that say this, you sound like an ass, like going, hey, I've been in the industry for so long.
Yeah.
I hate that. But however, keep in mind, so let's say I've been doing this for 20 years. It's not the experience of having done this for 20 years. It's I've weeded out through people that I don't trust.
Oh, sure.
I've gone through, I have lenders that I like.
Yeah.
I have appraisers. I have inspectors. I have title attorneys. All those because I've worked with some really terrible ones.
Sure.
To weed it down. So when I recommend somebody, I've already vetted mm-hmm. all of these people.
Right.
And so I know it's going to be a smooth transaction if you just go with who I recommend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's important. You're somebody that continues to understand that what got you here won't get you there. Right. And so you have to continue to work on your craft, right? I have to continue to work on my craft. That is part of my scheduling weekly, even for me, because I want to be the best of the best. The best of the best doesn't serve the most people, is actually knowing what you're actually talking about. Right. And be able to achieve the goals that you're looking to do. So you're right. I mean, I think it's important that when people say, I've been doing this business a long time. Well, yeah, you've been doing it a long time, but when have you studied your craft last? When have you really taken the time to learn, even education? I laugh a lot about education. Many people aren't in the room at education. And I'm thinking, you want to be, there's so much goodness in this class. I'm surprised more people aren't in this class because, I want to learn something new. I want to be humble myself enough. We talked about a coach earlier today. And the way that he got me is to join his coaching platform was, I thought I knew it all. I had an ego, literally. I had an ego that was up there, and I was closing at the time $50 million. And to do $50 million as an originator, that's a lot, right? And he knocked on the door a few times and said, if you just humble yourself, take one step down, and you become coachable, right? You can be a true champion. And going back to sports, right? The more that our kids are coachable, the more that they're going to further excel. And no joke, I humbled myself enough. I took a step back and I took that from 50 to over 300 million one year. Right. And last year in a down market to $200 million. And so, we can do a lot, but it requires you and I to study our craft, to know that whatever I did yesterday, today, this is a new year. I mean, AI, Lord Almighty, it's over my head and I'm still trying to figure it out. This is a new tech world that we're moving into. I giggle because my mom was a labor nurse for 40 something years and she was an amazing labor nurse. And she did nursing when it was holding your hand and wiping, and the sweat off your brow. And maybe they still do that today. I don't know. But everything now is technology. And as soon as they brought out a computer, she was out. You know what I'm saying? And so
you have to adapt.
You have to adapt. And so for the yous and eyes and some of us, that are watching this, that might be getting, my age or even older, if we want to still do it, we're deserving to still be in this industry, but the world is changing and we've got to move with it, And
if you don't adapt, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
I've had people ask me all the time, hey, what would you recommend like a new agent or someone just getting into this? And I told them my career changed probably 7-8 years ago when I started getting in front of camera, getting on socials, doing that type thing. I didn't do that for the first, 10, 12, 15 years.
Right.
And people getting in now have such an easier entry into the market to grow their brand, build their business, just be known in the public. I would totally invest in just getting in front of the camera and having a social media presence because people need to get to know who you are before they actually meet you.
Yeah. But you spent a lot of time knowing your craft before that. So what I do find a lot of people, even in lending or in real estate, is they jump out in the marketing play, right? And they forget about, and they become fabulous and famous, right? From that standpoint. But when it comes to, the curtain is, sent away and here we are, now tell me all the things, right? Yeah. And we're like, babe. So taking the time to actually knowing your craft, right? And that's what makes our industry not easy. People will say, I'll be a real estate agent and a lender because it's easy. Nothing what we do is easy. You have to hunt the business. You got to market the business. You got to be a brand person as well. And then you got to just know your craft really, really well. Right. And you have to do this business with an experience because we're only as good as the last transaction, and that's, if you're in it to create a career, right? Some people might do this side, but you're the product, right? Nick, 615 Nick is the product with a side of real estate. And you've done a great job with building that brand, right? So branding is so key, but I could ask you any real estate question and you'll be able to answer that for me. You do a really good job with keeping up with the times of real estate. And I think that's important too.
Well, last question here.
Sure.
I like to ask all my guests this. What do you love most about living in Middle Tennessee?
Oh, when I landed here 20 something years ago, I landed on Moore's Lane, right? So I lived at the landings.
Okay. Because I grew up Moore's Lane and Wilson Pike.
Oh, really? Yeah, everybody, I swear, lived at the landings once. And a really funny story, I'll tell you. So I am...
Jim, you live there?
Yeah. That's a funny story too. But I will tell you that my mom, and you probably see a little bit of my mom in me, but she was out there. She was the life of the party. And I'm this young, even though I was a lead singer, I was very more timid. You know, I'm not getting out there. I'm not in sales at the time. Right. And so we're by the pool at the landings and my mom's like, who would like to be my daughter's roommate? Okay. And I am mortified. And clearly, my sister was living her best life. So she was attracting whomever and everybody. And so here come these two gents up and they want to be my roommates. This is the strangest thing ever. Because you think about it today, you would never do this. Well, fast forward, no joke. His cousin is my roommate. And he was in the remodel business. He had a truck and a hammer on the side of his belt and all the things. And no joke, he is now the owner of one of the largest builders here. And I am the lender for one of the largest, lenders in Middle Tennessee. It's kind of a cool story that, landing both in Middle Tennessee because he moved from the New England area as well. So that's I won't say his name, but I see him around and we always laugh at the pool at the landings back in the day. Very grateful for that relationship and friendship for all these years. But I've always lived in Franklin, right? And so I built my business though, when I got in the business, because I was scared of Franklin. Everybody was fancy and they had more money than I, and I didn't know how to talk fancy or talk, any bit of that. And so I built my business. I drove an hour north, south, east, and west. And that's how I built my business. And then I figured out that we all put our pants on the same way. And, I still lend the same types of money. And so
I'm extremely fancy.
Yeah, you are. You fancy.
Fancy.
You're fancy. That 615 hat is gold embossed. This is a fun family town. I think I've enjoyed Franklin a lot. I've enjoyed watching its growth. I wish our roads were kept up with the growth a little bit. But I had an opportunity to move to Thompson Station because the time shifted a little bit. And so to stay afloat, I moved there and rented out my Franklin house. And after Aubrey was born in Thompson Station, that was great. And then we moved back to the Franklin market area. But I've always enjoyed living here. I always giggle because I love the city, but I'm not a city girl. And so I love putting one toe in and then coming back out, so I enjoy just a little taste. I love the honky tonks, Broadway.
I got clients that are like, what do we do downtown? I'm like, I don't know. I don't go down there.
I do every once in a while. My friends will, because they're not honky tonkers, but when they want to put a smile on my face, we go to AJ's. It's 90s country. That was my jam back in the day. Yeah. So I always bring the team there once a year, and they roll their eyes at me, but it's my joy. So I love that. And there's so much culture here. Like you've got not even country music, all kinds of music, but then you've got the arts, and then you've got TPAC with Aubrey, and I got to see a beautiful play there, and the symphony. I mean, there's just so much beauty downtown. And then I love that we've got cows and horses in the country. And we just have a market that I think supports and loves all people, whatever you're into. I think, we have the sports. My sister's a big Titans fan. And so they're doing that thing. And I love it. I love it all here. So I don't even know what your question was. I forgot what your question was. It is a special place.
What do you love about living here? I think you pretty much nailed it.
I love it all. Now, there's no snow. Well, there is snow, but we don't
ice.
Listen, we don't know how to handle the snow here.
Years.
We don't know how to handle the snow here, which I understand. And I always giggle with my employees because I said, your boss is a New Englander, so you all can come in by 10. It'll be, be melted by then. We're fine. Yeah, you'll be fine. Although this last round, I was downtown and I wake up and we had a function. So I was downtown at the Omni, and I wake up and I look out and everything looks fine. I'm like, I'm just going to sleep in a little longer here. I don't have a child, and I'll relax. And all of a sudden I see the snow cloud, right, coming in, and then here comes the snow. And I was like, oh, that's my sign. I should probably start moving in a forward direction, get in the shower, start moving. So by the time I get downstairs with my to go eat breakfast. I mean, there's a whole, an inch of snow already, on the ground. So that's when it all started, the chaos. I'm over here thinking confidently we'll be fine. And I was the only one on 65 going 40,
So did you get stuck downtown or did you
No, I was fine. I had my truck and I knew how to drive in it, but I was 40 miles an hour, the only one on 65, headed back.
It was wild. It was a wild week there.
It was scary. I mean, it's scary for many, and my heart goes out to all those that lost power and have so much damage, because you can never imagine what ice can do. We were lucky on this side of town not having the outages, but some girlfriends and just some families had it no power for a week or so.
Yeah, we kind of lucked up. Like I'm a little bit of a crazy prepper. I was ready to go. I had propane and heaters and food and all this stuff, and we never lost power. And part of me was kind of just, oh man.
Oh goodness. Yeah.
It's gonna be my opportunity to shine.
You don't want to ignite all of that. I do have some beautiful trees over my bedroom, so I did sleep on the couch just assuming that one would fall on my head.
That's good call.
But we were lucky on all of that. And again, lots of love and thoughts go out to everybody. But again, I think, what did they say? This is the worst ice storm compared to the one in the 90s, I think they had.
Yeah, this was that one here too.
Yeah, that was terrible. And we've lived through the flood here. I mean, we've seen the tornadoes. I mean, nature's beauty can definitely do some damage if it wants to, for sure. But
happens every once in a while.
It does. But I think what we say about this community is everybody comes together, and we still kind of stick the landing, and we rebuild, and we flourish and thrive, and we continue to go. And I'm grateful I get to raise my daughter here. This is the place to be. I miss home. New England is where my heart is always. And I love skiing and all the things,
Yeah.
And so now, with I was able to bring Aubrey skiing once, and she really liked it. So maybe we'll do that again eventually. But right now we just focus with her on tennis, and hopefully one day you'll see her on the big screen. That'll be kind of a cool thing if all of her dreams come true, and we just continue to do what we do each and every day.
We'll be looking out for her.
Yeah. And just serving those people and creating home ownership for so many,
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming, friend.
Yeah, this was fun
You're
to
the
be
best.
here.
You've always been, the one I trust, and I'm going to continue to do that.
Well, thank you, Nick, for letting me be part of this. Awesome
All right.
podcast.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.